Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravajakacharya Ashtotar to the Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravajakacharya Ashtotar the Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. I have text 12, chapter 18. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Not on the floor, just pick it. You can put it up behind the Gita. There you go. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 13th day of January 2025 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are in chapter 18, conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. Text number 12 at the top of page 669. Anishtam, Ishtam, Mishramcha, Trividham, Karmana, Palam, Bhavati, Atyaginam, Pretya, Natu, Sannyasinam, Kvachit, Anishtamishtamishramcha, Trivadam Karmanakpalam, Bhavatyatyyaginam Pretya, Natu sannyasinam kvachit anishtamishtamishram cha trivadam karmanak palam bhavatyathyaginam pretya natu sannyasinam kvachit anishtamishtamishram cha trivadam karmanak palam bhavatyathyaginam pretya natu sannyasinam kvachit anishtamishtam mishram cha trivadam karmanak palam bhavatyathyaginam pretya natu sannyasinam kvachit anishtamishtam mishram cha trivadam karmanak palam bhavatyathyaginam pretya natu sannyasinam kvachit. Ladies? Anishtamishtam mishram cha trivadam karmanak palam bhavatyathyaginam pretya natu sannyasinam kvachit anishtamishtam mishram cha trivadam karmanak palam bhavatyathyaginam pretya natu sannyasinam kvachit. Want to try?
Yeah. Anasitam isat mishram.
Cha.
Cha.
Anishtamishtam mishram cha
Trividam karman palam.
trivadam karmanak palam
Bhavadati atang pretya.
bhavatyathyaginam pretya
Natu sanyasinam.
kvachit natu sannyasinam kvachit. Anyone online? Okay, I'll read the word by words myself. You just read along silently. Anishtam, leading to hell. Ishtam, leading to heaven. Mishram, mixed. Cha, and. Trivadham, of three kinds. Karmanak, of work. Palam, the result. Bhavati comes atyaginam, for those who are not renounced. Pretya, after death. Na, not two, but sannyasinam, for the renounced order. Kvachit, at any time. Translation. For one who is not renounced, the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such result to suffer or enjoy. Purport. A person in Krishna consciousness acting in knowledge of his relationship with Krishna is always liberated. Therefore, he does not have to enjoy or suffer the results of his acts after death. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara, the disciplic succession. So, what a wonderfully poetic first line. Amishta Mishra Mishram Cha. So, you notice this very sobering first word there. These activities that we do, some of them lead to hell, others lead to heaven, and others are mixed. So this is, Krishna is just reiterating a principle that was central to the Bhagavad Gita. And that is that at every moment, mostly in full ignorance, in this age especially, people are working and they're acting and they're interacting with people and things, and they're taking things and doing all kinds of activities. And everything is determining their destiny. We're determining our destiny with everything that we do. The way it works is that we have this gross body and a subtle body. Gross body is what we commonly call the body. The thing you see in the mirror, the thing you work with your hands, eyes, all these different things. But then there's the mind and intelligence and ego. Now, everyone can say, well, yeah, I have those. And ego simply means your sense of self. We certainly have a sense of self. And for most people in the world, it centers around the body. Who are you? Oh, I'm a 32-year-old male. I'm living in Cleveland, and this is my name, this is my mother, this is my kids, and my dog. You know, and that's who you are. But that's not who you are. That's just the Prabhupada calls it like a certain coat that you're wearing. We're wearing, each of us has some clothes on, and none of us is going to identify with the clothes. But that's what it is. The body is simply a temporary covering, and this is like a term we have. But we are the soul. We're the indestructible, unborn, ever-existing, eternal particle of consciousness. And we're part and parcel of God. Prabhupada uses this word of part and parcel all the time. It means like an anksha. An anksha is like a drop of water from the ocean. Now, if you go out to the ocean, you take a little thimbleful of water and you analyze it, you'll find the same chemical composition as in the whole ocean. There'll be salt in there and so many other chemicals and whatever. So that's our, and a rough analogy to how we are in relation to God is that we have the same qualities in very minute degree. And one of those qualities, very important quality, is free will. We can determine our destiny to a certain degree. I mean, I can't decide, I really want to have wings so I can fly up, you know. It doesn't work that way. I mean, maybe next birth. But the point is that in the human form of life, it's especially important incarnation that we have, this birth, because we have the higher intelligence and we can understand these things, and we can make through our activities and how we form our consciousness, and there's a science to it. That's what this Bhagavad Gita is about. We can escape. We can be finally liberated from this round of birth, death, old age, disease, and death. Birth, old age, disease, and death, like that. That's called the wheel of samsara. I think the Buddhists like that term. But it's something that's basically unknown. I mean, the science or the philosophy. You go to Chicago. I went to Chicago University University of Chicago. Oh, it's almost like Ivy League school. Yeah, but I only went for 3 months. I had a full. This is back in '65 when Prabhupada came to America. He came to New York. I left New York and went to Chicago. I was in Chicago in '65 September. So anyway, it's a prestigious school. And I went there because my brother had gone there. He had studied philosophy there. He was really into the ancient Greek philosophy and all this stuff, you know. And I think he got a degree from there. So he was able to get me, not to get in. I got the grades, and I applied and I was accepted. But he was able to have some influence, so I had my own room, a single, dorm room just for one guy as a freshman. Very rare, you know. Anyway, I was there, but I would say, fortunately, some people say, "Oh, you really ruined your life. You had everything made. You just dropped out after 3 months, and what happened?" But I was so absorbed in the anti-war movement. The Vietnam War was very prominent in those mid-'60s, and anyone who was aware of what was going on, I had these jobs and everything, and I paid taxes, and that tax money was going to buy the bombs to bomb these kids in Vietnam. It was insane war, So I was thinking, okay, I'm going to be a draft resistor. I was reading Thoreau and Gandhi, and I just couldn't get into the studies, So I dropped out. But, and so someone would say, "Oh boy, you had it made and you ruined your life." You could have been a professor, you could have been this or something like that. But I say I was my great fortune. Because what finally came out of that is that I, like my brother, I was very interested in philosophy, so I kept my interest, and then I got a serious illness. I was living in New York, and I got hepatitis by eating raw oysters that was sold on the street. Don't ask me why I did that. It's just crazy. Anyway, but that, I get illness, and I was really like in my depths. I was depressed, lying in a hospital bed for a month. And I came out and said, I got to get my health back, and I said, well, let me try this yoga stuff I've been reading about, So anyway, it finally led to me joining Hare Krishna. And you realize, at that point when I joined, I said, boy, it seemed, at the time, it seemed like I was really getting beaten up by bad luck, but actually, I saw it finally as Krishna's mercy. Because sometimes His mercy comes in the form of you losing things, having a hard time, and having to, if you believe in God, you may go to God and really pray very hard. Whereas if you have it made, I can go and I'll go, what's the difference? Krishna says it like that. In fact, I was just hearing Queen Kunti's prayers. I don't know, are you familiar with the Srimad Bhagavatam at all, stuff like that?
A little bit.
Yeah. So in the first canto, chapter 8, there are these wonderful prayers that Queen Kunti, who's actually Krishna's aunt, in her relationship. So the war is over, and the Pandavas are now enthroned, and Krishna's now leaving the Hastinapur, and he's going back to Dwarka, and they're probably not going to see him again. So she comes out, and she's very movingly, she starts offering these prayers. And one of her prayers, because if you read the Mahabharata, they've been through so much, the mother and the Pandavas, they were anyway, I'm not going to go through the whole story, but they were the actual heirs to the throne. Their father was the eldest, and he inherited the throne, but he died untimely. He died, there's a whole story about it. And they were just young boys, And so the two mothers, there was Madri and Kunti, they had to take care of the boys, and Bhishma Dev stepped in and helped out, I think, as a grandfather figure. But there was this tremendous conspiracy to take the kingdom from them, because their uncle, Dhritarashtra, he was the oldest. He should have been the heir to the throne, but he was blind. He couldn't, and he's disqualified to be the king. But then when Pandu died, he became the titular king, somehow, because he was the oldest. And he had these 50, was it 50 or 100? 100 sons. And he was thinking, and they were thinking, well, I'm the eldest, I'm sure I was blind, but they should have the kingdom now that Pandu's gone. So there was this confusion in who's going to get the king. And that's the whole plot of the Mahabharata, So, and this Bhagavad Gita is very integrated with that. Right on the battlefield, there's this big war about to be fought. Duryodhana, who's this eldest son of Dhritarashtra, he had his allies, and they had all these huge armies on each side, and Pandavas and Yudhishthira, who's Dharma personified, he was on one side. And Krishna, of course, he was favoring the Pandavas, and Yudhishthira, who was the son of Dharma personified, and Arjuna was a great fighter. He's the son of Indra. There's a whole story how they became sons of different demigods. But let's just say on one side was righteousness, and the other side was sinfulness. So it's a very important climax here, and Arjuna wants to see who's on the other side. There's these huge armies on either side, and there's a no man's land in between, So Krishna, he promised not to fight. And Arjuna and Duryodhana were to choose. And Krishna said, I have all this huge army, of infantry and cavalry and elephants and everything, so many Akshawanis. So on one side is my army, but I'm the other side, but I'm not going to fight. So both of them came out very sort of, well, I really want it, because Arjuna was the first to pick, and he picked Krishna. He didn't keep the armies, And Duryodhana said, whoa, I thought he was going to get the army. I'll take the armies. He just he didn't believe in God. He didn't believe in Krishna. So Duryodhana had the armies, and Arjuna had Krishna, because obviously Arjuna was going to win. It's God on his side, literally. Anyway, it's very dramatic, because Krishna promised not to fight, so what is he going to do? So Arjuna said, Krishna said, okay, so I'll be a charioteer. I'll be the chariot driver. So he's becoming, that's a menial position, to be the chariot driver. But the problem was when Arjuna said, well, take my chariot between the two armies so I can see who's going to fight, And he looked on the other side, and they were all, there was Bhishma Dev, his beloved grandfather figure, who loved them and he loved them. He's on the other side. For monetary reasons, he needed to be supported, so he had to take shelter of Duryodhana. And also his teacher, Dronacharya, his guru, martial guru, so to speak, who taught him the art of war, and he became very expert. So both of those are beloved figures. He doesn't want to kill them, but there they are on the other side. And then a whole bunch of other relatives and everything. It was actually like internecine battle, So Arjuna gets cold feet, so to speak. He says, this battle, it's very sinful if I do that. I'm going to kill all these men, and their wives will be widows, and they'll become, they won't be protected, and then we'll have unwanted progeny coming out, and it'll all be my fault. I'll go to hell, and who cares? And if I win the battle, and I win the kingdom, it'll be soaked with the blood of the people I love. What kind of a victory is that? I'll rather go to the forest and become a beggar. But he knew Krishna didn't want that, and he knew that he didn't really fit that, so he just sat down on the chariot, paralyzed, But then, very importantly, a very key verse in the Bhagavad Gita, he changed the relationship, because then he was a good friend with Krishna, and they would speak back and forth. And Prabhupada says in several places, here and elsewhere, that the talks between friends never get anywhere. You never come to a conclusion, because neither one is accepting the other as a authority on these subtle and esoteric subjects. So Arjuna says, Karpanya dosho pahatat sobhava prichami tvam dharma sammuda cheta yakshreyaksya nishtitam bruhitam me shishyasteham shadimam tvam papannam. The key word comes at the end, papannam, I surrender to you. So he says, this miserly weakness, because he doesn't want to be in this position, of being paralyzed. He's a great warrior. Suddenly he's caught between the dilemma. So he says, it's like a miserly weakness has stolen away my actual nature. Karpa nidosho apata swabhava. His swabhava, his actual nature, is to be a very strong fighter for dharma, you see. But he's confused about what his dharma is. Because on one side, his beloved teachers and relatives, and is it right that I kill them? It doesn't seem right. So he says, Karpan bharata svabhava prichami tvam dharma samudacheta. Please explain to me, who am confused about what real dharma is. And in the Vedic culture, it's all important that you do the right thing if you're a moral person. What is the dharma? And please empower me so that I can do it. So he says, Yakshreyaksyan nishtitam bruhitam. Please tell me for sure, O Krishna, how I can attain the ultimate good. Yakshreya. Shreya is a very important word. It means the ultimate good for myself and for everyone else, because I'm confused about what my dharma is. I don't know. Nishtitam shishyaste. I am now your shishya, your disciple. I'm not in the role of your friend. And a shishya is, the Sanskrit language is so wonderful. Every word has a certain root to it. Just like this word dharma. It has a root, a dri. And it's the same root of the name of our deity here. Giridhari. Giridhari means to sustain, to hold up, right? So dharma is what sustains you. It is your natural quality, your most intrinsic quality. And I always give this example. Maybe it'll be new to you. Everyone else has heard it about 5 times, at least. A chair. A chair has a dharma. You sit on it, it holds you up. Right, Sureshwar? Sometimes you can even sleep in there. It's so comfortable. So the dharma of the chair is to hold you up. Now, if you sit on one of these chairs and it collapses, it hasn't performed its dharma, right? Yeah. Maybe it has performed its dharma. So everything has a dharma. When you think about it, a car, if it has to move, take you. If it doesn't, then it's broken. It's not filling. So what is our dharma as living beings? And it's a kind of a surprising answer. And it means our dharma is to serve. And even when we're total atheists, well, I'm not going to serve nobody. I'm going to be the master. You're serving your misconception that you can actually be the master. Because how much of a master are you? Didn't we learn during the pandemic that we're all completely dependent on being able to take that next breath? Where does that come from? It comes from God, We didn't create it. So at every moment, we're living in these bodies, and we're serving the demands of the senses. We have to eat, we have to breathe, we have to sleep, and then there's the demand, we want to enjoy this, enjoy that. So I remember, the body's not us, we're the soul. So we're now that we're serving, but that service is not helping us. That service is helping us to become degraded. Because if we simply die without any conception of God, and we've lived a life more or less of sense gratification, even if it's, you know, fairly harmless, and that we're not vicious and, you know, with people, but it's just an ordinary life you may lead in this world, then that means that your subtle body, your mind, intelligence, are filled with all of these ideas of enjoying. And there's all this karma, this idea of karma. Whatever you do has its result, good or bad. That's the whole meaning of this anishta mishta mishramcha. Trivadam karmana. Karmana is karma, your activity. Palam. The fruit of karma has three divisions. One will take you to hell, one will take you to heaven, and then there's mixed, which is really mostly what people are. You know, is that we may do good things for people, kind things, you know, and then we can do some very selfish things. You know, and so there's a big mixture in there. And Krishna's in there, in our hearts, as a super soul. He's also watching and judging. And there's a whole, the demigods, they're also, Prabhupada says, everything, even blinking your eyes once, there's a demigod who is, you know, allowing you to do that. So, we've tragically wasted the human life if we don't know how to act, karmana, so that the fruit of the karma, the fruit of the activity, helps us to get out of this imprisonment, really, of the material body and attain our original spiritual body. This is a very important point. That the ultimate liberation is not that we simply merge into pure consciousness, the Brahman, and then we're free of birth and death. Yeah, you'll be free of birth and death for a while, but we are eternal persons. We're not just particles of consciousness. We're persons, and we have spiritual hands, we have spiritual body, we have spiritual everything. But it's covered now. Because we turned away from Krishna, we broke that connection. We can't really break the connection, but we attenuated it and became unconscious. We wanted to forget it so we could try to dominate the world and enjoy. But it's a losing proposition. Because eventually, time passes. And even if you can dominate and enjoy for some time, eventually the machine becomes a great burden. You know, because I'm old, you know how it is on the internet. As soon as they can tell, they know, you know, probably how old I am, you know. So every day I get these little things, WebMD, you know, oh, here's how, if your knees are bothering you, we have this little exercise, and also we have this pill, only $20. It's on sale, you know, like, because I know, right? So you can try to counteract with so many material remedies, the passage of time, old age, and so forth, and you know, but ultimately we know it's a losing proposition. You're going to everything that you may gain on the material level, it's all tied to your body. You have some money in the bank, oh yeah, but yeah, it's got your name on it. That's not your name. That's the name of your body. If you're separate from the body, then that money is not going anywhere, you know, with you. So it's a bad investment. Let's just think of it like that. So we have to invest. What do we invest? Our energy, our attention, our time, our faith, you know. And if we don't know, then we invest all those things in the material plane, and we're very eventually frustrated. So this chapter is called the perfection of renunciation. Now, renunciation, there's two words in Sanskrit: vairagya and tyaga. And we're more concerned with vairagya than tyaga. Tyaga is important. Tyaga means literally to give up. Just like we have these four regular principles. No meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication. Now, for ordinary people, that sounds like, that's not a very good deal. That's because, I mean, that's why I'm doing yoga, so I can enjoy those better, you know. So that's literally tyaga, you see. But even more valuable than doing that is to gain vairagya, so that you don't even want to do those things. You don't have any desire to do them anymore, because you've sublimated the attachment and desire to the service to Krishna, which brings the highest happiness. And it's not dependent on your fallible body. It's direct soul to soul. The soul is eternally youthful and eternally alive. So the whole idea of bhakti is to learn how we can act so that we get the best result for the activity. And that activity is, part of the result of it is to cultivate this vairagya, this detachment from these things. But it's only practical and it only works when we cultivate the attachment to Krishna and things in relation to Krishna. And that's wholesome attachment. That's the perfection. The greatest devotees of Krishna are said to be the gopis, right? They're most attached to Krishna. They're most in love with Krishna. They're ready to give up anything, their good name, they go out in the middle of the night, married, and they go out. Where are you going? I got to get out of my way. I got to go. Krishna's calling. Somehow, I guess the vast majority got out of the house somehow. Some of them were restrained physically, But because they love Krishna the most, and most intensely, and feel the greatest separation, they're the greatest devotees. They're the ideal. And when God comes as his own devotee, he takes on the mood of his greatest gopi lover, Radharani. This is Lord Chaitanya. This is Krishna himself. But he's come with the complexion and the mood of his greatest devotee. There's a verse like that. Shri Radhaya pranaya mahima ki drisho vanayaiva svadyo yena buddha madhurima ki drisho vamadiya saukyam chasya mananubhavata ki drisham veti lobat tadbhavadya samajani sachi garbasindo harindu. This is the verse describing the inner reason for Krishna's appearing as Lord Chaitanya. So we begin Shri Radhaya pranaya mahima. Desiring to understand and experience the glory of Srimati Radharani's love for Krishna, for himself. Pranaya mahima kidasho vanayaiva svadyo yena buddha madhurima kidasho vamadiya. And to also experience the wonderful pleasure of being loved by me, you see. So he obviously couldn't experience that as Krishna in the spiritual world. It doesn't compute. So this is why he came as Lord Chaitanya in the mood of Radharani. And saukyam chasya madanabhavata kidasham veti lobat, and to experience the happiness of loving me and being loved by me. Tadbhavaya samajani sachiga basindu harina. And he appeared from Sachi Devi, just as the moon appears from the ocean. It comes, behind when it comes up. Anyway, that's important to understand ultimately, but it's all based on these basic principles that Krishna is giving. That the perfection of renunciation. The perfection of renunciation is very simple. To be totally detached from material so-called sense gratification, and to be totally attached to serving Krishna, to pleasing Krishna. To take one's pleasure in the pleasure of God. Now immediately, in our conditioned state, we say, what about me? What about my pleasure? But that's the point, is that we're part and parcel of Krishna. He is always full of ananda. And when we can participate in his ananda, then we automatically feel bliss. And that bliss obliterates, there's a poem in there somewhere, the bliss obliterates, our desire to experience pleasure separate from God, which is called sense gratification. And that's the perfection of renunciation. Not just to renounce and then grit your teeth. Oh boy, I'm missing that. I know I got to do it. I'll sit here on a mountain and breathe. Just meditate. No, not going to work. Not in this age. We're not. Better to be chanting Hare Krishna and dancing. That's a much more efficient and practical means of attaining perfection in yoga. That's Sankirtan. Okay, any questions on this verse and purport? Pretty short purport. Yes?
So, Krishna is mentioning that those who are not in the renounced order of life have no such results to suffer or enjoy. So,
I'm sorry, this is to text 12?
Yeah, text 12. So, Krishna is asking, renounced order of life means sannyas. So,
here it is. Those who are in the renounced order of life have no such result to suffer or enjoy.
Yes. So that means those who are taking sannyas, they only can, they are only going back home back to Godhead?
Well, he's speaking about those who are really, Prabhupada said in the renounced order of life. That means that they've taken sannyas, and now they're going to work and become perfecting the sannyas. But Krishna is talking about someone who is already perfected in his verse. This is the sannyas. In other words, the perfection of sannyas, those who are in this renounced order of life, who have attained sannyasinam, renounced order or sannyas, who have completely sublimated their material desires and have no, even a pinch of desire for material pleasure, because all their desire has been sublimated into serving Krishna. That's the idea. They don't have any attraction. That's the perfection of renunciation, obviously. And but it's only possible when that has been transferred to Krishna, to pleasing Krishna. That's the understanding.
Girastha devotees can also do the same?
I'm sorry?
The devotees who are in the Girastha ashram, they can also be in the renounced order of life, like detachment?
Yes. But even there, there's a point where you take vanaprastha. Even with your wife, you go out and you're just visiting holy places, like that. And ultimately, it's supposed to culminate in sannyas. That ideally, the householder, they have children, and the sons are grown up, and then the wife is put into the care of the elder sons, and then you go off and take sannyas. But you're not 50 yet, are you? No. So don't worry about it. Yes, we have a question here. You have a mic. Very good. But show her how to use it. Yeah, you have to hold that button till the light goes on.
Okay, is it working?
There you go.
Thank you. I was just thinking, like, progressing in like the material world. Like, say it's like I want to go be a doctor, right? And that's kind of something that's material in a way, but it's also a way to serve Krishna, right?
Well, not automatically. In other words, it has to be. Let me tell you a story, because in Bombay, there's one of our main spiritual masters, Radhanath Swami. He was such a good preacher that many, he attracted high level people who were professors and doctors. They would want to become his disciples. So, and I'll tell you a story how I experienced that directly. So he had the idea, well, all these doctors, let's start a hospital, And you walk into the hospital and there's Prabhupada singing, that you hear a recording, and there's a big Murti like Prabhupada here, So there's no question it's a Hare Krishna hospital. But it's not just for Hare Krishna devotees, it's for people. But so all the doctors there, they're real doctors, but they're also real devotees. In other words, being a doctor and wanting to help people is good. Don't get me wrong. And that can be, the ishtam, can be the good activity that will get you, a human birth and maybe even some time in heaven. You see, but you're not going to be able to perfect your life that way. There has to be that central understanding that I'm doing this work for Krishna, and indeed, I went to that hospital and got a checkup once with a friend when I was visiting Bombay. And it was very clear, I was dressed like this, so they were serving devotees. I think they did the checkups and the things for free, And so being a doctor is in itself not necessarily a good karma. Generally doctors are part of being a doctor is to help people, so that's good. But in and of itself, you get a better birth in a human body, for sure. But then you never know the next life. You may not be a doctor, or anything can happen. So it's not a position just being a doctor, but you can certainly be a doctor and be a devotee and use your skills for spreading Krishna consciousness and helping people and injecting some Krishna consciousness into your work. So that's the way it works. But yes, I mean, it's not every occupation can be dovetailed in that way, because you can't be a bartender and be a devotee, really, because you're helping people to sin. You certainly can't be a butcher. Hare Krishna. But many occupations are neutral, and and you can do it. But the idea is that at home you want to turn your home as far as possible into a little temple, so you can have deities there. I have an altar, but I just did pictures. So that whenever you walk into a home, then everything in the house is reminding you of Krishna. What do you put on the walls? What music do you play? And all these type of things. So it's definitely possible to advance in devotional service without having to live in the temple. But it's it's intense if you're actually able to join the ashram. Here, we don't have a ladies' ashram, although we do have one lady living in the room there. She's living up front. Nice, Prema Priya Radhika. She's a very nice devotee. But in many temples, there are also ability for ladies to live and do it and become devotees. So it's possible. All right, let's do another couple of verses because we couldn't get that far. Text 13. Panchaitani Mahabaho Karanani Nabodame Sankhye Kvantante Proktani Siddhaye Sarvakarmanam. Almighty Amdarjun, according to the Vedanta, there are 5 causes for the accomplishment of all action. Now learn of these for me. Purport. A question may be raised that since any activity performed must have some reaction, how is it that the person in Krishna consciousness does not suffer or enjoy the reactions of work? The Lord is citing Vedanta philosophy to show how this is possible. He says that there are 5 causes for all activities, and for success in all activity, one should consider these 5 causes. Sankhya means a discourse of knowledge, and Vedanta is the final discourse of knowledge accepted by all leading acharyas. Even Shankara accepts Vedanta Sutra as such, therefore such authority should be consulted. The ultimate control is invested in the Supersoul, as it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya Chaham Vriddhisannivishta. He is engaging everyone in certain activities by reminding him of his past activities. What that phrase means is that I am situated in the heart of every living entity. That's what Sarvasya Chaham Vriddhi means heart. So the Supersoul, Krishna as the Supersoul, is engaging everyone in certain activities by reminding him of his past actions. And Krishna conscious acts done under his direction from within, the direction from within, yield no reaction, either in this life or in the life after death. So this concept of the Supersoul is very important, because it gives us an understanding that we're never very far from God. He's very close to us. He's within our heart. And what is he doing there? Sarvasya chahabhidisnavista matta smritir jnanam apohanancha. I'm situated in everyone's heart, and from me come knowledge and remembrance and also forgetfulness. So we're getting this guidance, and we can experience sometimes with the pangs of conscience. We want to do something, and say, no, I know that's the wrong thing to do, And what that is the Supersoul, he's telling you. And we may ignore that, I'm going to do it anyway, And after a while, you don't hear that in the conscience, you see. Because you don't want to hear. So he doesn't. But then you're in a more dangerous position. Because the conscience, really we want to develop that conscience. I remember Rupanuga Prabhu, he came up with this phrase, which is very, very nice. Kṛṣṇa conscience. Kṛṣṇa conscience. Normally it's Krishna consciousness. Kṛṣṇa conscience means that by acting according and hearing the spiritual master and reading his words and Krishna's words, then you start to want to act like that. Okay, we chant Hare Krishna. And then we should feel, especially if we're initiated, if we haven't finished our rounds, that's your big voice telling you, I got to finish my rounds. That voice sounds like Prabhupada to me, And we know that the Super Soul wants you to chant the name, So the idea is that that voice of Krishna conscience, which is strengthened by hearing the words of God, Krishna, then you're getting a strong impetus to act as you know you should act. And being able to actually follow that voice and follow those instructions, that strengthens your determination. And because as you habituate, as we do materially, you act in a certain way over time, and then you tend to act the right way all the time. So if your actions are being guided by Krishna through the Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita and the spiritual master, Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, I don't remember the Bengali, but I remember reading the instructions in the Madhya Lila of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says that the Super Soul is trying to guide us, but we can't hear him in our conditioned state. So he comes outside as the spiritual master, as the Shastra, and sometimes personally he's coming out like a hearing. Rarely he actually appears, but he's always present, and he's inspiring the realized spiritual master to teach us properly. So in that way, he's a medium. Prabhupada would call it a transparent via medium, and that's so important, because this instruction kind of goes against the grain of the material life, things that you may learn. And there's all kinds of arguments you can come up to, that come on. In this day and age, God, we know there's no God. We know there's so much science you can describe exactly how this world comes about, the Big Bang, everyone knows that. And if you believe that, you're not going to believe Bhagavad Gita. But we believe Bhagavad Gita because, Prabhupada's presence and the whole line of acharyas and great souls, and you read about them. It's important to read about, this wonderful book that Bhakti Vikas Swami produced, biography of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It's really incredible. You read it. And someone of that intellect, that incredible intelligence, who's a pure devotee, who accepts the words of Bhagavatam and so forth and lives it, they can serve as great inspiration that this is real and true. Yes, it's esoteric, it seems fantastic, how could it be? But and then another very important point, by chanting, by taking part in the process, even without knowing hardly any philosophy, if you really chant sincerely and you try to hear, and just on the level of yoga, try to hear that sound, then you will experience, to some degree, the presence of Krishna, and you'll feel in your own heart some peace, something. In other words, it'll be a very positive experience. That's why the movement can spread so fast. Someone is willing to suspend their disbelief and their doubt and take part in the process, and there's, that was cool. Let me go back there. And the food was amazing. Anyway, if you just go back, and that was Lord Chaitanya's program. Chanting like anything, ecstasy, and big feasts, and he would partake also, wonderful prasadam. And it's all simply this exchange of love. And you can associate with God through the sound. This is there's no reason. You can't figure that out, reasonably. But you can experience it. You can experience a change in your own life by associating with the name. And that's the basic process. Okay, you want to ask another question or make another comment? And then we'll have our...
Yeah, so it says that Krishna conscious act done under his direction from within yield no reactions, either in this life or in the life after death. So, how do we hear Super Soul? Because in this age, we are being exposed to so many garbage from our childhood.
Okay, I'm sorry, which verse are you on now?
The 13, the purport.
13?
Yeah, the purport. Last
Okay,
line.
purport, okay.
It says that Krishna conscious acts done under his direction from within yield no reactions, either in this life or in the life after death. But we are being exposed to so much of garbage from our childhood, like go to movies, this, that.
Yes, yes.
So how we are going to hear that from within? We can think that, okay, I want to go to movies, that maybe Super Soul is asking me.
Yeah, you may not be able to hear it from within. You won't be able to hear it. You have to hear it from without. Don't, do. So that's and then you realize, oh, what a wonderful friend. He's just telling me what it says in the book. They realize Prabhupada is preaching and he's just saying what's in the book. But because he's personifying the qualities, and you can, that's why it's so important. You can read Prabhupada's biography, you can see YouTubes on him, and hear the voice. There's this wonderful purport where it's describing the voice of the spiritual master is how does he say? It's very, very potent, because that voice, he's picking up the saffron mercy particles from the lotus feet of Krishna. And if you hear that voice, it has a certain potency because it's Krishnaized, So and we have so many, facility to actually hear Prabhupada, and others also. So it's a battle, because we're so conditioned, and sometimes we feel that we're imprisoned. I'll end with this verse. This will be our little poem this week. Many of you have heard this before. Lord Chaitanya is teaching Sanatana Goswami in the Madhya Lila. And for those who know, there's these three stages, the Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. Sambandha is understanding, who is God, who am I, what is this world, what's the relationship, all of these things. That's one meaning of Sambandha. Very preliminary, but very important to understand. But then the second part is Abhideya, the practice. How to realize this knowledge. So he's beginning his instruction on the practice of Krishna consciousness. And then he shares this verse, which there's some evidence that it was composed by Madhavendra Puri. But so, Kama dinam katinda katita palita durnideshas tesham jata mayna karuna nattapano prashantihi utrijaitan hadayatupate sampratam labdha buddhis tvamayata kshadanam habayam mamni yung svatma dasye. In how many ways have I sought to obey the seductive demands of my wicked desires? They've shown me no mercy. Yet on I have gone shamelessly trying to quench lust's unquenchable fires. But now I'm rejecting those hellish desires, for my higher intelligence now has awoken. O Krishna, O shelter of fearlessness, please let me serve you with faith that will never be broken. It's a lot in that, basic thing. Is that if you realize, okay, it's a battle now, for my vital energy, my mind. My mind is telling me to go here, but I know, my intelligence is telling me, no. Read the book. Oh, no. Turn on the TV. No. And read the book. So he's praying for the strength to make the right decision, so he can escape from these cruel masters that are trying to get him to go in the wrong direction. And he's felt, so many lifetimes I've followed the whims, of my material mind, and it's taken me to such painful destination. But now, let me have the strength to follow you, Krishna. Fearless shelter, a fearless shelter. So that's really, the Hare Krishna mantra can be uttered in that mood. To appeal, Radha, O Krishna, please engage me in your service. Please give me the strength to say no to what I know is wrong, and to say yes to what I know is right. That's determination. It's a determination week or month. All the lectures, Sunday lectures, are going to be on determination. I don't know if they're going to ask me to give one. Okay, well, we have time for one more little poem, so let's end up on a very high note. This is one of many, many, many beautiful Sanskrit constructions. You can't write poetry like it in Sanskrit. So this is one verse by Rupa Goswami. Uradi kutamuladi dutabangam nabadaladadikidano rasadangam yuvadi vadayatutnamananatadangam pranamatiyamanatatikatadangam. His flute emanates entrancing sounds for the cowherd girls whose love abounds, for the clever cloud-complexioned lord who's dancing upon the Kalindi shore. It's a wonderful meditation. You could chant it 10 times, you won't get tired. Okay, let's chant Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.